What is going on, guys? NandoPrince93 here with another video, and today we're going to talk about my new favorite widget for the iPad Pro, and it's called Usage. So here we go. So about 2 days ago, I was scrolling through Twitter as one does, and I came upon this tweet right here, which I'll put up on the screen. And it was by a guy named Andy, and he posted basically a screenshot of his home screen. And I saw this widget, which looked really, really cool. And I'm a nerd when it comes to like utility styled applications and widgets and things like that. Like I was always a person that had on their MacBook, on the toolbar, had like a utilities banner that showed, how much CPU was being used, if any data was being transferred, things like that. So when I saw this, I was like, what is this? Went onto the App Store, found what Usage was. First thing, it was free. Absolutely free, guys. And I actually reached out to the owner / creator or developer of the app Usage. He also said that yes, it's free, there's absolutely zero ads, and there is one in-app purchase, but I don't really see the need for that. You guys can play around with it. It's a compare function, but again, the actual application itself and all of its power and everything that it does is absolutely free. So definitely try it out, guys, but I want to dive into it and show you guys what it does, what it looks like, and what the point of it even is. Even though it is kind of a stagnant widget just for things to look at a glance, I like it just because it gives you more data on the iPad and basically how it's running in real time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and show you guys exactly what it is. I'm going to show you guys how to download it, how to set it up and put it on your widget screen, and then also how to set up all the different types of data that you can choose to show on the widget screen by itself. So let's hop into it, guys. Alright guys, so for the purpose of this video, I actually removed the Usage widget from my widget screen right now because I do want to walk you guys through the entire process of how to set it up. So basically what we do is go into your App Store, type in the app Usage. It'll be the first one right there, and it's this little blue one with the circle, with the white and blue circle. And this is what it is. So Usage itself, it's basically an app that shows all of your hardware info and activity from beginning to end. So I think there's 6 or 7 different categories, but the main features are it gives you a CPU activity graph, so it lets you know how much of your CPU and internal power you're using in real time, which is really, really nice. And then what I'm gonna do here is just open it so I can show you guys what it looks like. So the app itself is actually really, really nice. It's big, it's colorful, it lets you know what's going on. So in real time, it lets you know how much CPU you're using, how much memory you're using, and memory refers to RAM. So it says the total is 3.66, designed with 3.93 gigabytes of RAM. So it lets you know your memory allocation. So how much is active, how much is inactive, how much is wired, and how much is absolutely free, which means it's not being touched whatsoever. So as you can see, my memory usage is pretty high overall, but the only active portion of it is at 36%, which is nice. It also gives you real-time storage. This one isn't as crazy because you can just go into your About section, but it is nice to kind of see it at a glance. It gives you how much storage you've used, which is how much is free, and also the total. And then also this is really, really nice, especially if you're on a limited data plan. So this kind of lets you know how much data you've used since rebooting the device. So you can either reset this manually within the app itself or reboot the device and then it restores and resets itself also. So it shows how much data I've used over Wi-Fi, and it would tell me how much data I've used over LTE or 4G or whatever the case may be if I did have a SIM activated or a data activated iPad, which I don't. And then it also shows you real-time networking activity. So it shows you the graph of how much network activity you have coming in and also going out. So whenever I'm uploading a video, you'll see that the sending is through the roof because I'm trying to send like a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes of video file to YouTube. So it shows that the network activity is actually a little bit higher. And then lastly, of course, the battery section. This is the one that we're going to work on with the actual developer himself. And it basically just shows you how much battery life you have, if you're charging, if you're on low power mode, and also the type of battery that's in the device itself and how many milliamp hours. So this will let you know, hey, I have 9,720 milliamp hours. Technically, if I bring a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank, I should be good for 2 full cycle charges. So that gives you just an idea and pretty much lets you know exactly what you have going on internally. And then the last little snippet is just basically a very, very short version of the About section. It tells you the name of the iPad, what version of iOS or iPadOS you're on, and the last time the device actually rebooted. So this itself is really, really nice. And then if you go to the compares feature, this is the actual feature that is the paid in-app version. So basically, if you have another iPad or any other iOS device, you can use Usage and then basically compare what the batteries look like. Again, how useful is that to somebody else? I don't really know. I haven't touched that. And then you can actually share the app on social media and unlock that feature for a day. Then you have the configurations. basically this lets you move around where you want each different thing to be. So if you want battery all the way at the top, you can. I'm gonna keep it where it is. Lets you change the color. As you can see down here, the colors change. So the update's gonna add 2 new colors, I believe. I like this light blue version, that's just who I am. And then this is the actual today's widget, which we're gonna touch on right about now. So once you have the app set up the way you want, all you do is you go, scroll all the way down to the widget section where it says edit, then go down to where it says usage, we'll add it. And then since I really like usage and I want it to be the second thing I see, I always want the weather to be the first thing I see. So I'm gonna put it second, then you press done, then you scroll up, and then what you can see is that here is the usage app, right? But when you first download it, this is what it looks like. It's basically 4 blank boxes for you to choose which data set you want to be shown on the widgets app, right? And then, so basically to choose, you just tap on the choose source, we'll click on CPU, boom, there's my CPU graph, right? And again, this is real-time information, and the graph shows you 50 seconds of real-time activity. So that's also really nice. So the next one I'm gonna choose is battery. Gotta see how much battery I have. So basically what this means is how much battery I have. This indicator means that it's charging, because I currently am, as you guys can see on the top right. And then this little icon right here just would indicate that you're in low power mode, or you're below 20% battery. So when that's lit up, that means you're below 20%, basically notifying you gotta charge your device a little bit. Also, what I like to do is add network activity, so it shows you how many gigabytes are up and down I'm receiving. And then the last one I choose is usually either storage or memory. I like to go with memory because it shows you exactly how much free RAM you have. And that's what we're looking at right now. So that is the widgets app in a nutshell, guys. I really like it. I love all this information at a glance. I was always a big fan of having it on the top toolbar within Mac OS. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how to use it within another application, because I saw that somebody commented within I think the review section, or maybe on Twitter, that said, hey, this app is great, but I can't open it up when I'm within another app and I can't see how much like RAM or data is being used because it's on my widget screen and it's covered when an application is open. So the easy solution is just to hit it with a slide over. So here you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. So you can see that there was a little spike here because I am on Safari. So it's a little bit more the CPU is being used up versus not at all, right? The interesting part is that it does say that it has 8 cores here, and I thought the A12Z was the one that was supposed to have 8 cores, and this one was supposed to have 7. So probably physically it has 8 cores, but only 7 of them are active. But that's basically how you would run it if you wanted to run it side by side with something else. So let's say if I click on LumaFusion, pretty high intensity app, pull this up again, and then you can see CPU is just through the roof. It spiked up like crazy while it was loading up. And while it's rendering live, you can see that there's little traction on the bottom of the CPU. So that is the usage app in a nutshell, guys. Really hope you enjoy it, and let's go back to the normal view. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that top-down view of the iPad using the usage app. But again, I really like it. It's free. It gives you a bunch of data that I really enjoy, that I really like to see at all times, which in my case is battery, how much data is being used, how much CPU is being used at the time, and also RAM management, which is huge for me, especially because my iPad is my main computer and I want to make sure it lasts as long as possible, both like in the moment and long term. So just one more thing to add on to the usage app. Like I said, I was speaking to the developer yesterday and he told me there is an update coming out tomorrow, which adds a couple more colors. So basically just a little more customization of the app itself. And I asked if there was a way to program the app to let you know if how fast the iPad is charging, right? So if you guys saw, I showed you the actual iPad battery portion, which lets you know if it's charging and if it's in low power mode essentially, right? So I asked if there was a way to indicate how many watts of power is going into the iPad itself, the exact wattage that the iPad is taking in. Unfortunately, they can't actually do that with his application, but what he is trying to work on is designated whether or not it's quick charging, right? So I know that the iPad itself, there's no marketing material, no actual info about a fast charging iPad Pro, because at the end of the day, it does come with that 18-watt brick in the box, and that I would consider that normal charging, but for an iPhone, that's considered fast charging, right? But the iPad is capped at 30 watts of power input, so you could technically get a faster charger, a bigger wattage charger, and charge it faster. So what I talked to the developer of usage about was being able to indicate that it is fast charging. Maybe when it does hit that 30-watt threshold, maybe a little indicator that says, hey, you're getting maximum power input from whatever charger you're using, versus, hey, you're getting regular, or maybe you're using a 5-watt charger that's charging it super slow, and it'll tell you like, hey, this is not charging fast enough while you're using it. Just be aware that your battery's still gonna drain even though it's quote unquote charging. So that's the one thing that I'm hoping that he's gonna be able to do. He said he's gonna look into it. He said he probably will be able to do some sort of indicator that lets you know if you're fast charging or normal charging. But again, I like that. And I also love dealing with these kind of creators because it's easy to collaborate with them and let them know like, hey, people want this, maybe you should get rid of this. And they're more than willing to listen to what I have to say and what everybody else has to say. So highly recommend you guys try out Usage. It'll be the first link in the description below. Absolutely free. Go show them some love on Twitter as well. Try out the app, it's below. It also works for any iPhone and any iPad, not just the iPad Pro. And again, highly recommend trying it out, guys. It's free, you got nothing to lose. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow myself on Twitter, we're growing there. And let's get the 10K subs here soon. So until next time, peace, guys.